Hi, this is Tim of the 1916 Company. Welcome and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me, Team Mosso at the1916company.com for purchase pricing and availability questions concerning this watch. And this watch in carbon fiber and DLC blackened titanium is a 2015 limited edition of 99 pieces from Ulysse Nardin. This is the FreakLab Boutique Exclusive Edition, a fascinating combination of original Ulysse Nardin technologies in perhaps the single most identifiable and iconic Ulysse Nardin design of the 21st century. So the Freak is present and correct in its full fat form. No crowns here. It is bezel set, case back wound, no crowns. A large watch and the first ever to include a date in a Freak platform. 45 millimeters in diameter, a measure at 13.9 millimeters thick. From lug tip to lug tip, it is 54.3 millimeters with an oddball 23 millimeter spacing between the lugs. We'll throw this watch on my wrist, which is 16 centimeters in circumference. You can see why I say this is a large watch, and it's particularly stark as well, given that it's all black. I'd recommend you have a wrist a little bit bigger than mine, so if my wrist is 16 centimeters, I'd say the best kind of match would be 17 or even ideally 18 centimeters circumference. Maybe not as thick as I expected, especially with the sloped bezel. That actually could fit under a jacket cuff just fine. And it's not heavy, being that it's almost entirely titanium, carbon, and sapphire. Taking a look at the strap has the appearance of being sort of a hot stamped piece of leather. I know it's leather on the bottom, and I believe it is also leather on the top. It's a contrasting light blue stitch that matches some of the blue elements of the dial. More on that in a moment. There is bolstering. It's got a folded edge. You can see it conforms to the case, so while it's very all of a piece and closes to show no daylight between strap and case, it's a beautiful integrated look, but it also creates some stiffness. So you can see I can't pull the strap straight down there. That mitigates against easy use on a smaller wrist, which is why I say you need a largish wrist to wear this. The clasp is titanium. You can see a combination of brushed, media blasted, and polished elements. You can see there we have little ceramic spring-loaded pin snaps. Over time, this action will never get worn out because the ceramic pins cannot wear down. Externally, you can see we have a blackened Ulysse Nardin style buckle with a twin trigger release, with the swing arm being the springs for that, so you have to press both triggers for this to pop open. It can't pop open inadvertently. And you can see that the condition is outstanding, and it is a UN factory strap. Condition of the case is also outstanding. In my appearance, true DLC is pretty durable. Now you can see there's a little mark on the lug right there. But for the most part, I found that diamond-like carbon does live up to its reputation as a super hard coating. PVD describes a process, DLC describes a certain kind of material. So you can PVD relatively weak black coatings that come right off. You can also PVD DLC, in which case you get something like this. Now in profile, we have a lateral plate with individual bolts. This is number 10 of 99. And so this is like an old Ulysse Nardin marine chronometer, their navigation clocks that made the company famous in the 19th and early 20th century. We have a bezel with a unique wave knurling on the outside that makes it easier to grip, but also reminds us of UN's nautical heritage. Now, since the second Freak, we've had this little locking system that allows the user to set the time, but then also lock it down so it can't move. It makes sense. Taking a quick look at the dial, you can see it's inside a lovely woven carbon fiber bezel, and then there's a polymer boundary between bezel and crystal. And you can see there's no use of a pivot center on this crystal. Earlier Freaks used the crystal as sort of upper bridge to the carousel, and so you had a pivot projecting through the crystal, which meant you couldn't have any water resistance on those Freaks, so they were moisture and dust proof only. This has a 30-meter water resistance rating. You don't want to swim with it, but it's better than zero. The dial has changed quite a bit compared to previous Freaks, so you can see that we've got a new lightened bridge. You can see that the balance staff actually sits over the true center of the dial. It used to be cantilevered out a little bit so that it was kind of imbalanced to see, and all of this is made a bit smaller, so the baguette movement, which includes the drivetrain all the way up to the escapement and the balance, it now takes up less space, so there's more space for the numerals outboard, and it's easier to see the hour hand underneath. So this is the minute hand right here. This is the hour hand. They are both luminescent. We'll do a lume shot now. It's just a lot easier to read this dial. And UN's premise here is that the carousel assembly with the hour hand below looks like a sail on top of an anchor, so nautical motifs. We also have this deck-like or stripped striation that's designed to echo the deck of a yacht. Now, if you look, we have both fired blue and blackened screws here, and then we've got the date. And the date's fairly simple to operate. You may wonder, how do I set a date on a watch without a crown? Well, it's got a bezel. And what you do is you turn the bezel and you ratchet it, and you just advance through the date by ratcheting like that. And then you set the time with the hour on the bottom and the baguette movement as the minute hand. You set that on the top. So for those of you who have not seen a carousel before, it's very similar to a tourbillon, with the distinction that the drive for the carriage and the drive for the escapement have separate powertrains, because if that were not the case, then in the process of doing this, I would crash the escapement catastrophically. So a carousel is a little bit more durable. It was a system invented by Bonne Bonnickson, a Dane, I believe, in the 1890s. And while it has the same purpose as Abraham Louis Breguet's tourbillon of rotating the entire assortment, it is a more durable system, and it's probably better suited to the wristwatch format in the modern era because of that. So once per hour, this baguette hand will make a circuit of the dial. You can also see one of the very few applications of a sapphire crystal on a watch that actually has a concave to it. So getting really close now, you can see that the decoration is first rate. We have polished bevels, we have satination on top, we have blued screws. You can see that all of the pivot stones here are clear. They are not colored because that wouldn't be in keeping with the high-tech aesthetic. We have an unlubricated full silicon dual Ulysse escapement, which is a descendant of that on the second of the Freaks, and you can see that the dual Ulysse system has two wheels, but there's also an intermediate indexing arm, or an intermediate lever. The wheels index the lever, and then the lever moves the balance. So it's not a true double direct impulse escapement. The original Freak launched with the dual direct, which did have a direct impulse escapement. This is a more durable solution. It operates completely unlubricated, and the advantage here is that it reduces mass, eliminates all need for lubrication, it is not affected by magnetism, and the twin wheel system with the intermediate rocker ensures that each wheel only impulses via the rocker the balance in its direction of travel. So they're not responsible for reversing any inertia, so it's a very efficient system. It's a 4 Hertz beat rate, it's a 7-day power reserve, and you can see through the case back, which we'll examine now, more carbon fiber, a symbolic piece of silicon, which Ulysse Nardin makes itself through its Sigatech subsidiary. It is probably the smallest company in Switzerland that can actually make its own silicon, particularly silicon hairsprings, a very high bar to entry. Also, Ulysse shock, more on that in a moment. You can see the mainspring through the case back, and that's partly there because over time you will get talented at discerning the state of wind of the mainspring just by looking at its coils. You can see solarization on the cover of the barrel, really nice, attractive. A worthy amount of fine finish on this watch in spite of the high-tech orientation. So once we get past the dual Ulysse escapement system, we have a free-sprung balance, so all of the timing is done with variable inertia bolts that sit in opposition on the balance wheel, so it's very shock resistant, but also allows for a very precise timing adjustment. We have a silicon hairspring, which is essentially immune to the effects of magnetism. Also has a very low coefficient of thermal reaction, so the thermal sensitivity here is going to be very low, so hot, cold, it's not going to change the timing of the watch much. And not as easy to see, although present, is that we have that Ulysse shock system where the retaining clip on top is a micro-profiled Liga etched piece of metal created, I think, out of nickel phosphorus via galvanic lithography. And then inside that we have super tiny DRIE profiled silicon spring technology. And so the idea here between the fewer number of parts and the use of exotic fabrication methods is that we have a shock protection system that is better at avoiding damage, simplified because it adds fewer parts, 3 fundamental components rather than the 5 of a regular sprung jewel setting. And then it also protects against things that you don't normally associate with shock protection, like the pivot moving side to side as opposed to up and down. This better guards against that, which improves chronometry, and also prevents the pivot from getting stuck askew off to a side, which can happen where it's sort of justified to one side of its cup jewel on a conventional shock protection system. So Ulysse Nardin with the silicon, the Liga, the unique escapement, the hairspring, the Ulysse shock and its components, and then the spectacular crownless carousel boutique limited edition silicon intensive 7-day watch. There's just a lot to love here. This is the FreakLab, meaning it was a test bed for new technologies. And I believe to this day, Ulysse shock has only been used in this model. Certainly it hasn't been built out throughout the range, probably due to the expense of making it, but that makes this watch that much more special with a unique technology and more inherent value on the engineering side. So reach out to Team Mosso at the 1916company.com for purchase and pricing details.